Start from the beginning and kind of tell us how it all progressed. August 17th, right?
August 17th.
Okay.
And I had just had a real fitful night's sleep. And then woke up about 5 in the morning and was having contractions, not intense ones, and just at 7 minutes apart. And that lasted until about 11-ish, and then they moved to 5 minutes, but it was still pretty easy contractions.
And I had left that morning to go out. We were combining right in the middle of wheat harvest, so I was gone. And she called me and said, I think this might be the day, but it was moving very slowly at the time, so I stayed out there. And so that's I remember that's what you said. They were like every 5 minutes, but she said they were 5 to 6 minutes, light contractions, and not changing really. So I thought, well,
I think we'll go to the hospital today, but
yeah.
I just don't know when. And then about 3 o'clock, I said they're getting intense. They just started getting intense. I said let's get ready to go. And so he came in.
Yeah.
We left about 4.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, I came back and we packed up the car right away. And it hadn't really changed. She had a couple of intense ones, but we packed up the car. And so at that time, it was the same basically place, the same place we were at 3 or 4 hours earlier.
Yeah.
So we didn't really make any sense. And then I called the hospital when we were leaving. I don't know who I talked to.
Me.
Was it you? And I said, we're leaving. We'll be there close to 5. So then I don't know if it was the drive or what.
Yeah.
But we live about 50 miles away. And in Kulm, yeah. And every 10 miles, I had my watch on, so I was timing the contractions, and every 10 miles, it seemed like the contractions decreased by 1 minute.
Whoa!
And I thought, well, maybe the first couple, that was just kind of a couple coming soon, but it continued, and so by the time we got to Edgeley, they were about 3.5 minutes apart. And then we got north of Edgeley, about 10 miles, and they were down to 2. And then we got...
We're doing an interview, Karen. Yeah, okay.
Then we got down, and then as, like I say, every 10 miles, it was getting just, I couldn't believe it. I was watching my watch, and I thought, this is coming really fast. And so, I don't know, you want to tell them about the drive at all?
Well, no, except for I just said, I just want to get there, hurry, but be safe. And you said, okay, I can see it. I can see Jamestown.
I can see the water tower.
Like, okay.
We're getting really close.
Yeah.
Hold on now, because... so, yeah, I did. And I was kind of fudging the numbers. I said, okay, it's only 10 minutes away, and I knew it was probably about 20 minutes away.
Were you in the front seat?
No, I was in, before we left, I said, put some towels and stuff in the back and take the car seat out because I want to lay down because that was the most comfortable way for me to labor. And so I was laying in the back seat and my head was kind of behind his driver's side.
Yeah.
So
then we drove and we were getting just south of Jamestown, near those towers, and there was really no space, but there was no time between the contractions anymore. And as she started screaming louder, and it was very loud, I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe this is happening. And then I started kind of matching her screaming, no. And I wasn't smiling at the time.
Oh.
I was very tense because I felt like, well, I'm pretty sure this isn't really going to happen, but it shouldn't be this close. And then we drove into Jamestown, and at that time, she started saying things to the extent of, I think it's coming, right?
and then I said, okay, the head is coming out.
Well, it was, I came into Jamestown, and there was more traffic then, though, at that point, and I started speeding through town. I was probably going 60 or 70 and swerving around traffic, and luckily the first light where you would turn to Walmart, that was green, so flew right through there.
Well, yeah, and you were more aware of the drive than
Yeah,
I was. For
and
sure,
then and then I
you
got,
should just tell
and I was crossing over I-94 on the bridge there on 281, and she said, "Jordan, the head's coming out." And immediately I thought, well, in my mind, I'm thinking we could have made it, but then I heard her say that. She said, "The head's coming out," and I immediately, right when I got over the bridge, pulled over at the first intersection. But I remember there was a fellow driving a car in front of us, and the light went to red. And he stopped, and he was turning right. And I knew he could go, and so I just laid on the horn, and of course, he probably thought I don't know what he thought.
some kind of road rager.
Road rage or something. And then, right as soon as he pulled out, I just got over to the side and ran out around the outside of the car and came around to the other side, and the door was locked.
Oh no!
And then the passenger door was locked. And I thought I bumped the lock and locked myself out at this moment. And it turns out we had locked the doors, but my door still. So I ran back, unlocked them all, and then came back around. So
And opened the door, and
I
his
opened
head
the
was
door,
out.
and the head was already coming out. And then probably about I don't know. I would say it was about 15 seconds or maybe less that the baby came, and I had just jumped in back, and yeah, and then he came out, and of course right away that what you're seeing is shocking, and
Yeah.
but I mean, what did you feel at that moment? Because
Well, I felt relief. It was out. Yeah, I totally felt like, I just felt like you could handle it. You were capable. So I wasn't worried. And that's the thing. Somebody called.
you felt like I could handle it.
Totally, yeah.
I don't know where I got these
Yeah.
credentials.
Yeah. But an aunt had called me when we were in the hospital. She was like, "Oh, were you scared?" And I was like, we didn't have time to be scared at the
Yeah.
time. It went so fast. And then
It's
once
true.
we had a minute to reflect on it, everybody was okay. And so there wasn't a reason to be scared.
Where were you parked at the time?
Right on
Just on
just
the
off
side of the
281. We didn't even turn into
Not in the parking lot
into
or
the road.
anything,
We
yeah.
just turned off the highway at the intersection
Basically,
where Tesoro and
On the
Subway
shoulder,
is.
kind
Yeah.
of.
Just kind
Subway
of on
and
the-
then McDonald's is on the other side. That's
Yeah.
So
It's
you
just a
parked
little
on the side of the road with the freeway under you.
No, well, it wasn't under. I got over the bridge
at the stoplight
at the
Okay.
stoplight
Okay.
right
by
there.
the gas station, Subway, and
Yeah.
then McDonald's on the other side.
Yeah. But I didn't even pull into anywhere. I just right as soon as I could get off the road,
You just got
I
off.
just put it in park and got out. And I yelled for help right away to the gas station because I saw people filling up. I just said, "Somebody help me." And the one guy who did end up helping us, he kind of laughed because right away he saw me speeding through town and then honked my horn at this guy. And then when the guy pulled out and I got out of the car really fast, he said he thought I was going to get a gun. He thought I was road rage.
Oh gosh.
So then he heard me yell for help, and he said, "Okay, well, it's good
At
it's
least
not."
it's not
bad. Anyway, that was a man by the name of Kevin, and I'm not sure his last name, but he works at the prison. He said
Yeah, some security guard.
security guard at the prison. Yeah, his name was Kevin, and so he came immediately over from the gas station, and he said, "What's going on? How can I help?" I said, "My wife just had a baby. I was holding the baby at the time.
Oh,
It was quite a mess." And he said, "Well, is there anything I can do?" I said, "Jump in the driver's seat and take us to the hospital." So he did. He jumped right in. It was so nice of him. And then someone else called 911, and I said, "Don't worry about an ambulance. We'll get there faster than an ambulance."
Mm-hmm.
So we left. I was holding. We put the baby right away on.
Just on my chest.
Yeah. Well, the baby as I was saying, so the baby came out, and 5 seconds later or so, a little cough, and then a little cry. Took his first breath, which is, I remember asking questions like, "Well, how do they know when to start breathing?" and they just try. I remember the doctor was explaining how that works, and they kind of listened for that, and it was really
A relief.
a relief, just a blessing to hear that, to know that he was in the world. And then we just laid him on Sarah.
And Jordan said, "It's a boy."
I said, "Yeah, that's right." And I looked down and right away, and I said, "Well, it's a boy."
Because we didn't know.
We didn't know. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a surprise.
Does he have a name?
His
Yes.
name's Leo Joshua.
Leo Joshua. Yeah, and then just laid down on Sarah, and I remember Sarah saying, "Oh, he's doing so well." You know, she just could tell he's fine.
So Sarah held him while
Oh,
who's
we
driving?
drove.
Well,
Kevin,
this
the guy.
Kevin.
Kevin drove.
Yeah,
From the
and I
back.
was sitting in
You
the
should-
back, and Sarah was holding the baby.
Okay. All right. And
Speaking
then what
of
happened
Tom,
when you got to the hospital?
Well, so the cops met us, and that's when you probably heard the scanner, because the cops met us, and then there was an escort into the hospital, and we made it here rather quickly. I think probably 10 minutes after the birth, if not less. Probably even less, yeah. And we got here, and then the nurses and Dr. Hogarth were all waiting in the emergency room garage, and
Got me on a cart. And
Got her on a
baby
cart.
in and-
Well, Dr. Hogarth jumped in the back seat and helped deliver the
Yeah.
placenta.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, okay,
right.
so
The
the
placenta
okay.
to us,
Mhm.
and then I don't know how they got you on the cart.
You
but
did that in the car?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Deliver the placenta in the car?
yeah.
Wow.
It was Sarah, like you said. That, I mean, I didn't have anything to cut the umbilical cord or anything like that, so
Right.
I didn't do that.
Right.
And so when Dr. Hogarth grabbed the baby, it was still hooked to the placenta, and then that's when,
And that came out.
and then it came out at that point in the car still.
Okay.
So they just took everything.
Took baby placenta,
Took the
everything.
baby and placenta and everything, and then Sarah, yeah, and then she came, and I mean, from what you could tell at the time, I mean, the baby, what was the assessment at that time?
They looked good. We didn't know time of birth or anything like that, of course, and so we just kind of had to guesstimate as far as we had got a few phone calls from them along the way, and so we guessed about in 16:55
Yeah,
time of birth,
yeah,
and they got here about. You guys were here about 5 after 5.
I think
okay.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Because we figured about somewhere around his 10-15 minutes, we gave him an APGAR of 9. He looked good.
And what's the experience been like in the hospital?
Great.
Great,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've just been very well cared for, and
How about the both of you? Okay, quick. Very good.
Yeah, it has been great, and
restful.
restful, and I mean, I think for the first night, at least,
Our adrenaline was still
our
way too
adrenaline was
high.
going,
Yeah.
and so it might have been even like somewhat of a shock.
Yeah.
Pretty
But-
sure Jordan was in shock.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Despite my good faith in him.
Well, and like I say, it was. We just feel blessed that it was such a good birth and a good delivery. I mean, so many things could have gone wrong that I couldn't have addressed, and that,
Yeah.
and nothing did. I mean, I really didn't do much other than more or less catch the baby, because he came out very well, and so it was.
I was telling him just a few minutes earlier today, and I just said, it's a fun story, and people are always quite, shocked or amazed, but it didn't seem at the time that there was anything, really amazing about it or phenomenal. Like, people have babies every day, and they're perfectly normal and, wonderful, and people have home births and stuff, but it certainly was an extraordinary circumstance under which to do it. So, yeah, it makes a fun story.